Hello listeners and welcome back. Today we are going to be discussing movie endings Blackout Edition. Here to talk about those movies that have their final scene and then immediately cut to black and roll credits. Movie endings are the most important, best and sometimes most memorable parts of the entire movie. It solidifies the audience with a final image and feeling, therefore getting the audience to relate how they regard the film. What makes for a good blackout ending? The final shot for an effective blackout ending should give the scene an overall cinematic punch. It should set a defined feeling to the audience. The most effective and memorable movie endings are usually the ones that make you feel. How a blackout ending is used all adds to how memorable it was and how it made you feel.
Oh, what is it? What is it? Wow, a puppy!
Are you perplexed?
Sell it all.
Did it leave you with a final message?
Before he heard the call.
Were you left shocked? Or did it even end on an action?
What's that? You want me to what? You have another question? Sure, I got one question for you. It's, can you deal with that?
All of these elements, and depending on how they are used, all contribute to whether or not the film has an effective and memorable blackout ending. Today we're going to be discussing examples of movie endings that use these elements perfectly. Now this list is in no particular order as they are just some fun suggestions. A spoiler warning is issued as we will be looking at the endings of these movies and might need to break down some of the stories in order for them to make sense. Now it's time to look at some of the most classic, memorable, and underrated blackout movie endings. First up on this list, I want to talk about Terminator 4 Salvation, the fourth movie in the Terminator trilogy. This is definitely an underrated blackout ending, but still just as effective. The final scene captivates audience with an inspiring, powerful, strong ending message delivered from John Connor himself. Then cuts straight to black and we are immediately hit with the Terminator's theme song. This Terminator's ending is particularly captivating from the rest as it not only has one of the only blackout endings in the series, but also at this point in the saga we are finally getting everything that we have been building to. Previously in the first three films we have followed John and Sarah doing everything they can to stop Skynet. Whereas this fourth installment takes place after Judgment Day when we are finally in the war. This movie not only gives us a look into the war, John leading the resistance, but we finally get to meet a young Kyle Reese. By the end of the film, we have watched John take down another leg of Skynet and is finally reunited with Reese. This then makes for a more impactful ending as the audiences are finally concluding on everything they've been building to. Between the cliffhanger ending, build of everything we've been working towards, and a final captivating message, then cutting straight to the theme music, gives Terminator 4 the effects of a perfect blackout ending.
There is no fate but what we make.
Next, we have to talk about Bond.
James Bond.
And for this list, we're going to be talking about Daniel Craig's Casino Royale. James Bond's Casino Royale really has everything you need for the perfect blackout ending. The audience finally get to see Bond complete his mission, save the day, and get the bad guy. It ends with him saying his most memorable and classic line. It then cuts straight to black and immediately rolls into the iconic Bond's theme song. With an ending like that, it leaves audiences on the edge of their seats just knowing there is more to come. Everything about this ending makes it impactful and solidifies the themes of the film, with him in his suit, gun over the shoulder, and then his classic line, all add to making this ending unforgettable.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
I don't think I would get away with making a list like this if I didn't add one of the most infamous blackout endings of this time, Inception. Inception has one of the most frustrating but brilliant endings. After all the twists and turns that this movie throws at us, we are finally relieved when DiCaprio's character can make it out and go home. When he finally does make it home, he spins the top in order to ensure that this is all real, but once he spots his kids, he forgets about everything. The audience gets one last final look at the spin top and immediately cuts to black before we get the conclusion, leaving it with a frustratingly open ending. The movie overall does leave you happy and content, however with mixed feelings of always guessing the real outcome, therefore making it one of the most infamous and impactful Blackout endings. Next on the list we have Jonh Wick. Jonh Wick Chapter 3 is another one of these underrated but still just as good Blackout endings. At this point, Jonh Wick has been just about through everything, but it is still not enough, and he is about to take on one of his hardest challenges yet, facing the table. It's because of these things of what makes the ending so impactful, because of the journey we've already seen him go through, and the journey that is to come. It ends on an open cliffhanger ending. It leaves you grinning, feeling pumped up, and immediately wanting more. It is an ending that is used to start good conversation. With the challenge of taking on the table that Jonh Wick sets for himself at the end of Chapter 3, is you constantly wondering what's going to happen next, and how it's all going to play out. Is Jonh Wick finally going to be able to make it out? Another thing that makes this ending so great is not only does it cut straight to the iconic music, but we get to end on his final word catchphrase.
Yeah.
And although Jonh Wick's yeah isn't specifically solidified as a catchphrase, I'm going to say that it is, as he says it in such a specific way and in every film. And really, what's not to love about a final line, cut to credits, cliffhanger ending?
Yeah.
For this next pick, we are taking a complete 360 on our emotions, but I just had to include it. The tragically beautiful movie If I Stay. If I Stay has a very underrated but deeply heavy emotional ending. Throughout the whole movie, we are sitting in the turmoil of whether or not Mia is going to wake up. The movie has a sudden abrupt ending in the perfect way, with Mia finally opening up her eyes. The movie then immediately cuts to black and starts playing music that sets the atmosphere of the movie.
Take my mind and take my pain.
The sudden ending and the music leaves you entranced in the impact of the movie and its emotions. The ending is particularly impactful with the amount of emotions it instills. It can leave you questioning what happens now. Just an overload of mixed emotion, leaving you with that never-ending impact and memorabilia well after the credits have rolled.
Mia.
Now bringing the mood back up again, next on this list we have Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. After watching Jack escape death many times and chase after his ship, he finally ends exactly where he belongs, behind the wheel, captain of the Black Pearl. Everything about this ending is perfect and iconic. From the look he gives, the classic line he says,
Drink up, me hearty, yo ho,
the action and sound of the compass closing,
yo ho.
the start of the music, all leave you feeling giddy and excited. I dare you to watch this ending without cracking a grin. The ending leaves it open for the possibility of more, but still has the audience perfectly content. These elements and how they are used all add to what makes this one of the most iconic Blackout endings.
Drink up, me hearty, yo ho.
This list, of course, wouldn't be complete if I didn't add Transformers. Transformers is probably one of the most referenced and notable Blackout movie endings, and for good reason. It leaves us feeling perfectly content. After watching the Autobots try and defend themselves, the Allspark, and planet Earth, it makes us feel good knowing that our characters are finally at a place of peace. We are solidified with a hopeful final message delivered from Optimus Prime, inviting all Autobots to Earth as they finally have found a place that feels like home.
A new world to call home.
And of course, you cannot forget the iconic, unforgettable music they use for the final credits. It really just adds the cherry on top of an already perfect Blackout ending.
We are waiting.
Next on this list, we have to talk about Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow has an incredible Blackout ending. Not only is it a good relief to see where the character ends up after his crazy journey, but everything about it is just super impactful and strong. We watch as Cage walks up to Rita like he does multiple times during the film, but you know that this time is going to be different. The fact that no words are needed, just a simple reaction, then immediately cuts to black with a strong music choice to start off our credits.
I need to know now, now.
It leaves you feeling satisfied even if you didn't fully know how to interpret the ending. It leaves for a great conversation starter, debating what it all means and what is now going to happen next. No matter how you feel about it, it is bound to leave you grinning and feeling hopeful, which is why Edge of Tomorrow makes for one of the most underrated but perfect Blackout endings.
What do you want?
I know I said this order was in no particular list, but I had to leave some of the best for last, which is why next we are talking about Avatar. Although Avatar is one of the most popular movies of its time, I feel like it is still a very underrated when it comes to its Blackout ending. At least all the examples I looked at, no one mentioned it, which is why I'm talking about it today. Not only is the whole 3 hours of the movie itself just incredible, we'll have to say that one of the most impactful scenes in the whole movie would have to be the final scene. It's such an inspiring and hopeful ending. The way it ends can leave it open for much more, but is still a satisfying conclusion. All of the elements and how they are used solidifies on what makes it a impactful and memorable ending. The final close-up shot, the action of him opening his eyes, and the immediate powerful music straight afterwards. And finally, it leaves you with what you wanted most this whole time, for Jake becoming a true Na'vi. Everything about this ending screams perfection, therefore solidifying it as a perfect choice for an iconic Blackout ending. Now last but certainly not least, we have to talk about Wanted. Wanted definitely holds one of the most forgotten about and underrated Blackout movie endings. It shocks you and is undoubtedly impactful. It has a good conclusive ending that leaves you sitting and pondering in thought. It gets you thinking about yourself, the movie, and reflecting on the journey, the characters, and plot, well after the credits have started rolling. Action leading up to the final scene is undoubtedly unforgettable. Not only does it solidify a full circle journey that our character has now made, but it also reinstates the atmosphere and the lessons that were taught to us throughout the film. It creates a full circle ending with our character finally getting his revenge, the same place that it all began, but we also get a slow motion sequence of the bullet flying backwards into the chamber that we witnessed at the beginning of the film with a similar shot, taken with the same gun, same kind of bullet, sitting in the same chair, creating a full circle moment for not only the character but also the audiences. But probably my favorite and most impactful things to come of this Blackout ending would have to be his epic final line. He delivers it with such emphasis and power that it comes off strong and impactful, giving it this jarring but perfectly unforgettable epic Blackout ending.
What the fuck have you done lately?
That is all for this episode. Did you agree with the movies I chose? What was some of your favorite from this list? And what are some of your favorite movie Blackout endings? As always, everything we discussed will be linked below along with my socials. Please be sure to like, subscribe and follow. Feel free to leave all your thoughts and comments below. Thanks for listening.